My name is Keith Grimston Hall. Keith is Keith. Grimston is Grimston. And my surname is Hall, Hall.
What is your birthday?
On the 10th of August, 1928.
28.
Yeah.
So you are?
90.
Whoa. Wow. You look just like a 70.
Thank you for that.
Did I good? Yeah, you look healthy and much younger. I don't see you as 90-year-old man. No. Where were you born?
I was born in Auckland here.
Oh.
Yeah.
And tell me about family when you were growing up here, when you were growing up as a child, parents and your siblings.
My father was a railway man, and my mother was wife and homemaker and mother. Mm-hmm. I have a young brother who is 7 years younger than I. I was born in Point Chevalier, which is a suburb of Auckland, in my grandmother's front bedroom. My mother and father, Dad was working down in Huntly, which is about 100 odd miles from here, as a railway man. And when my mother was due to give birth, they came up here, so that's why I was born in Auckland.
Mm. So you have only one brother,
yes,
younger brother.
Yeah, 7 years younger.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you born in 28, 1 year before the breakout of the Great Depression. How was it? How was the impact here in New Zealand?
My father was working all the time. As a youngster, like of that age, I was unaware of, the privations and the way things were. And it's my knowledge really of the Depression is what I've read.
So you didn't feel it?
Not as a child, no, but I was aware of it afterwards because of the, because my father was employed all the time, there was an income. Mum was very conscious of what she spent money on. So we weren't hard hitters, people who didn't have a job and therefore no income.
So very lucky.
So we were lucky in that respect. My father was a returned serviceman too from the First World War.
Oh. And so there was a serious impact in New Zealand too, because it originated from the United States, but it has a global ripple effect.
It did.
It did.
Yes. Oh, there was an awful lot of unemployed in New Zealand, and they had labour camps and that where single men were put up and they worked on the roads, and there was a lot of government work done by these people, But not personally experienced it, I can't really speak from somebody who's really suffered from it. Mind you, there won't be many of them left now.
Tell me about the school you went through.
I went to a primary school called Gladstone Road Primary. I was there really at the start of the Second World War. Spent 3 years at a secondary school right here in Auckland, just up the road from here. And then went to an apprenticeship at the naval base. This was towards the end of the war, about 1954, I think. 44.
44?
44, yeah.
So you graduate your high school in 1944?
I wasn't a graduate. I just left school.
Ah, you left school.
Well, I'd got 3 years secondary school, and it was either that. Then you either went to work or you studied to go to university. And I didn't want to go to university, so I got an apprenticeship job over at the naval base over the water.
Apprenticeship in 1944.
Yeah.
Naval.
Yeah, the naval department. The dockyard over the water there.
So, what kind of work did you do as an apprentice?
I was a plumbing apprentice. We were working on the ship, so there was plenty of work on there because there was ships coming in that had been damaged during the war and all that for repair.
And then what happened?
I was there, still there, when the Korean War started. And
As an apprentice?
As an apprentice, yeah. I had 5.5 years of my apprenticeship, and
That's long.
I had six months left when I left. I volunteered for K-Force.
Ha.
That was the start of it. That's when I went into the army. And
Or you went into the army.
well,
You were apprentice for the Navy, but you joined the army.
yeah, when the Korean War broke out, when they formed a force here to send to Korea,
Yeah.
it was an all-volunteer force. So you volunteered, and I volunteered for it, and I was taken.
But why didn't you do it for Navy rather than Army?
Well, I wasn't in the Navy. I was a civilian working for the Navy Department.
I know.
Yeah.
But still, you knew about Navy.
Oh, yeah, and I didn't want to be in it.
Okay.
No, I saw plenty of the Navy while I was working there, and I thought, not for me.
So when did you join the Army?
In 1950.
What month? Do you remember?
I think it was, August, I think. It was when the first volunteers were called for. And then they sorted them out. Yeah.
So let me,
50.
before we go into the details of your military service, I want to ask this question. Did you learn or did you know anything about Korea, the location, history, or anything?
No.
Not at all?
I knew where it was, and that was about all. Well, we'd had nothing, no schooling, nothing that come up in schooling about it. It was just in the east, round by Japan.
Ran by Japan. That's all you knew?
That's about it, next door to China.
Next door to China, yes. So basically, you made the points. It's either China or Asia when we're talking about, China or Japan when we talk about Asia at the time.
Yeah.
And Korea was just between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you are a Korean War veteran.
Yeah.
Have you been back to Korea since then?
Yes.
When did you go back?
2010.
2010. And that was your first time to be back.
Yep.
How did you feel when you arrived in Korea in 2010?
I was amazed, really amazed. The Korea that I first went to was smashed to bits. The second time, then that visit there, when you see all these big buildings and all the construction work that had gone on, just amazed. Thought it was a fight, been worthwhile.
You thought so?
Yeah, when I went back. Yeah.
What else did you see? Compare. This interview will be checked out by the young students in New Zealand, and they don't have any idea what Korea looked like in 1950 when you went for the first time. And then you are the person who can witness about these differences between 50 and 21st century.
Yeah.
Tell them the discrepancy or differences that you you are the only one who can tell about it.
Yeah. Well, we landed at Busan and we went out to a military camp that was where all the first military people went to and got before we went up the line. And I was struck, mind you, the day that we got there, it was in the middle of winter and it was cold. The streams were frozen over and the snow laying around. And it was a wake-up call, that one. Never experienced anything like that at home.
From New Zealand, right? Yes.
No. And then we shifted up country and the only contact we had with the Korean people were going through villages and seeing village life, and I knew that the Japanese had taken over Korea for a long while and robbed the country of anything that would value, so that everything looked so poor and wanting. And seeing people working in it, what you'd think is an old-fashioned way with no modern tools and things. They're making do with an old cow pulling a plough that was made out of wooden tree trunk, that sort of thing. And the paddy fields, I see them working away in the paddy fields, threshing the grain with these. So I was never in a place that was a built-up city or the ones that I went through. I went through Seoul a couple of times, and Taegu, but they'd been smashed to pieces, flattened out. I mean, I've got photos of them there.
Mm. Do you have pictures?
Yeah.
Yeah, show that to us, please.
These are photos that I took myself. And
you did?
Yeah.
So you had a camera?
Yeah.
Hold on. Could you go back and look at it? Because, yeah, that's better. And show some of the pictures that you took yourself.
These are not very good. They're not very good. I think you better look at them and see what you can show.
Can you show that up to your chin show that to camera?
Yeah.
Camera. You have to turn it around.
This way?
Yeah, completely. So that camera can take capture of it. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't.
Yes.
They're not very good.
Is it original copy or?
These are all copies. They're only.
Is it copy or original?
They're paper copies of the original.
Okay.
I've got an original. I just made this up to take back with me to when I revisited Korea.
Mm. So you have original pictures.
Yeah.
Would you
original all of these?
Would you be willing to share that with me?
Yeah, as long as I get them back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have about 10,000 pictures and artifacts like that, and it's been all volunteered to be provided by the veterans to us, and then we scanned it, and then we, gave those back.
Yeah, well,
if you can scan those, that will be better.
Oh, I don't know anything about computing.
Don't you have any children?
No, not. My boys are dead.
Oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. Any grandchildren?
Yeah, one, but not handy.
Oh. Okay,
and
so
I don't have. So I can't operate a computer, and
if you can
operate it.
If you can share that with me, I'll make sure that you get it back.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Well, you can have a look through here and mark any ones that you want. And I can get them.
Yes. So you saw the difference.
Oh, I sort of did indeed. Well, as you can see from these photos of the.
So were you proud to see all those transformation has been made?
Yeah. Well, I thought, gosh, it's well worthwhile what was going on, what we did.
Do you know the rank of Korean economy now in the world?
I bet it's pretty high. I don't know.
It's the 11th largest economy in the world.
Yeah, I can imagine it. I drive a Korean car.
Are you?
And I got a Korean walking stick. So
great.
So I've done my little bit to help.
Yeah, buy more.
Yeah.
Yeah, you helped. First of all, you fought for us so that we were able to rebuild our nation. Opportunity,
Yes.
That's a big.
Yes. No,
but
no.
do you know whether New Zealand history textbook talking about the Korean War much?
I don't. I don't know that they. I don't honestly know because I don't have anything to do with education now, like what's going on in the schools. I know that there's been an official history of the K-Force and the Korean War and how it all led up and the whole history of that. That's a government publication. And then there's that book that I showed you. That was just reminiscences of a certain number of people within K-Force.
They don't teach more about the Korean War.
I don't know.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't.
They don't. And it's been known as Forgotten War.
Yeah.
Why?
Well.
Do you know?
Well, I don't know whether it was a case of the population didn't take much interest in it. It's quite possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like there wasn't the interest in it that there was in the Second World War. Not everybody was involved in it. See, the Korean force was I think there's only a total of about 5,000 or a few more than that actually served in Korea. And so when you take 5,000 out of 2.5 million, it's not many. So I think maybe that's what it is.
So share that with me. What was your first impression, honest impression of Korea when you landed in Busan?
Busan.
Yeah. What was it?
What a bloody stinking hole it was. I looked over the side of the ship and, oh God, what have I come to?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Now?
Oh boy. When I landed by plane this time, my gosh,
and
how big is this?
And the best airport, international airport in the world. They've been ranked as #1 for how many decades, So that's a great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so we stayed, the revisit we stayed in Seoul. And the last time I'd seen Seoul, it smashed around. And bridges over the hand were smashed.
I think you better give your picture to me so that I can scan and so that everybody can see the Korea in 1950, the way that you saw.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to keep it to yourself and nobody will be able to see it.
Yeah.
Okay? Trust me, I did return every picture.
Yeah, I got no doubt.
Okay. So let's talk about your military.
Those are the sorts of
Yeah. Let's talk about your military service. So did you get the basic military training?
Yes.
Where?
Papakura camp was as basic training, and then we went to Waiouru for core training, and embarked in Wellington. And the ship was we went to Brisbane, and then to Manila, and then landed in Busan. And after that,
When was it?
That was, I think it was New Year's Eve, I think, 50. Yeah.
1950, December 30. Your unit was field engineering section, and just 15 of you maintaining and those, right?
Yeah.
But belonged to Royal British.
We were attached to the British.
Yeah. And
finally, first off, we started in Busan. While we were there, we ran this rock quarry, producing metal for the roading systems, and we did that for a while. And then we built a. We used to do a bit of road building, plus going to the railway and getting all the engineer stores that were required for the front line, and that used to unload the trains of that. We built or helped build a base camp where all the reinforcements came in. We started off in tents, and then gradually got more solid places built as time went on. So we did some of that. That was our training that did that. And then when we got posted to the field engineer squadrons, we ended up, we were digging trenches on the front line. We built dugouts and built roads, drainage for the roads, minefields. We did a lot of minefield work. Yeah.
So did you plant the mine, or what did you?
I was there just over a year, about 14 months, I think. And I got sent home to go through a training course here, and I got commissioned and went back to Korea for another year.
When?
In 52, 53.
So when did you come back?
52.
No, first time. You went there 12/31st, 1950, and then you came back to New Zealand.
In 42. Went to school for 3 months or 4 months, and went back to Korea.
What school?
The officer training school.
And so you become officer?
Yeah.
Oh. So from Korea, when did you come back to New Zealand? First time? 1951, right?
No, 52 I came home.
You were there in 2 years in Korea when you get there first time?
No, it was in the middle of 50 that we enlisted here.
Yeah.
It was the end of 50 when we landed in Busan.
Right.
It was in early in 52 that I came home. And later in 52 I went back. And it was 53 then I came home.
So you became an officer. Why did you do that? You wanted to be an officer, or what made you do that?
Well, I was selected, and they asked me if I would go to the Octu training school. Because I'd be, over the period that we were in Korea, I'd become a corporal. And
So they asked you to become an officer, but you didn't know that you were going to go back to Korea.
Oh, I knew I was going back.
Oh,
I was given the opportunity. Yeah, if you go to the training and become an officer, you go back for a year. If you don't go back, you stay home and you get dismissed. You're finished.
oh, I see. So from the beginning, that was the condition.
Yeah.
And were you not afraid
No.
going back to the war again?
No, I was quite happy with it.
Huh? Happy?
Well, look, I was 22 or 23.
Yeah.
Young buck, adventure, out of something different to what you're used to. I mean, you get used to going to work, get on the train, get on the bus, get on the boat, come back, get on the plane, get on the boat, go home, come home, next day, get on the boat, go home. Routine, year after year. I wanted to change.
You wanted to change. So you chose war.
Well, you don't know until you get there what it's like.
Tell me about the Hill 355. That's where you were there.
I was there a lot.
Yeah. So tell me what happened and how severe the battle was and what did you do?
The infantry held 355. I was there the day they took 355.
Mm-hmm. When was it? 1951, right?
Yes, it would have been. The day they took that, we were given the job of mine sweeping the roads leading. It was round the back of 355, but we had tanks coming through, and we had mine detectors to sweep the road, and we did that while the fighting was going, while the attack was going on, and they're feeding the wounded were coming back down the hill, you know. So I saw all that. Well, I didn't get right involved just at that time, but we were in the vicinity of maintaining the roads around there, and as I think 355, it changed hands, I think, once or twice, but finally we got it, and they called it Little Gibraltar.
Oh,
for a good name,
yeah.
good reason.
Why is it?
Yeah, well, a solid little place, and it stood out amongst everything else. And the squadron, the Royal Engineer Squadron that we were attached to, we worked in support of the Australian infantry that were occupying 355, and we helped with the roading and the building of dugouts. There would be maintaining roads, minefields, and putting defensive minefields in and maintaining those. That entailed going out on patrols at night down into no man's land and making sure the fences were still up. Because one of the things about laying mines is with the Geneva Convention, I think it is, that minefields have to be marked out with at least a strand of wire around them with red mine markers hang on. So you used to, with shelling, and that the minefield wires used to get broken, so you'd have to go and fix them up. So that was quite a bit of a job too.
Yeah.
We used to go out with the Australian Infantry Patrol, and they were to defend us while we did the work.
Tell me about it. How do you remove mine? Do you bomb first so that ignite the explosion and then take it out? Or do you have to really detect one by one with the machine and then you have to take it out manually?
Yeah.
Tell me, detail, because children doesn't know about those.
Yeah. Well, what one of my jobs became is, apart from those minefields in front of 355 and round about there, is there was a defensive line behind that the Americans had laid a terrific number of minefields through, and it was very difficult to get an access to retreat from 355 and that line, our forward front line, to a rear defensive line, and that needed opening up, and I got the job of clearing these minefields.
Clearing means you're doing manually.
Them out again.
Manually.
Manually.
And that's a very dangerous job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you been wounded?
No.
Not at all? So no mistake? No. Nothing happened?
No. Only nearly.
Amazing, isn't it? Looking back all those years, you could have been dead many times.
Yeah, that's right. See, minefields are laid to patterns so that they're not just higgledy-piggledy flung around. They're laid in a certain pattern. And that pattern is laid out on a pro forma sketch pad that's got the design of the field, how many mines are in it, and so that when it came to picking them up, I used to be able to get access to one of these for that particular field and know how many mines were in there.
How do you access to that kind of information?
Well, that's information that's held by the rear units of the army.
You mean one that laid by U.S.?
If we laid them, we made a record of it,
but
and it's filed away.
What about the ones that laid by the enemies?
Yeah,
you don't know.
That's a different story.
It's completely, you don't have any idea where it and how many, right?
No.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, they have mine detectors, of course, and that's a very slow job. Or they prod the field. But I was lucky in the respect that I didn't come in contact with an enemy field. All my work was done with fields that we laid.
I see.
So that I had at least I had the information before me.
That makes
doesn't
sense.
make it a lot easier, except you know where they are or where they should be, and how do you find them? Because they're laid out to patterns, and you've got to start from a point. Now, where's that point? It's usually some significant point that a compass bearing's taken off, and the field laid from that. So once you find one mine, you can generally tell by what patterns it's been used where the others are, and
Yep.
then you get them that way. But you still got to take care with them, because there's tripwires on them, and there's also just a little three-pronger that sticks up, which you stand on, that sets it off. So you've got two things happening to that with one mine. And if the tripwire's gone, you're left with the three-pronger. So if you don't find a tripwire, that doesn't mean to say that the mine's not still alive.
Yeah, right. And what was the typical kinds of mine that you had to remove?
Anti-personnel mines.
Anti-personal mine.
Yes.
Is there any typical name there? I mean, serial number or things like that? What do you call that?
You just call them anti-personnel. They were like a cube. The ones that we used anyway. They come in different sizes and sorts, but we had these. I forget what they call now. But just like a cube of cast iron. So when it's shattered, there's bits everywhere.
Shrapnel.
Yeah.
Describe. Let's say that you are demining one now, right now.
Yeah.
And describe the psychiatric, psychological, or conditions of your mind, and what is it like?
Well,
suppose that you are doing now. How can you describe your mental condition?
Oh, just. Well, the worst one I had was when I had a sergeant blown up on the mine. He had slipped on the minefield was on a slope, and he obviously slipped, and the mine had gone off, and he had landed on another one. We didn't know at the time, because I went in to see whether he was all right, but I found that because of the pattern that was used for the laying of these mines, one was underneath him. So I was very wondering what was going to happen because I had to deactivate that mine to get his body out. Whether I didn't know whether he was dead or whether he was severely wounded. There's always a chance he was still alive, so it was a case of getting him out as quick as possible. And that was. I said at the time that I think it was a bit hairy.
Anybody you saw just being killed because of the demining process? Anybody?
He was the only one that
He's the only one?
Personally knew. I heard of others. I know there was a engineer captain was killed too in a minefield. But I only knew that one because he was in our unit.
Had you thought that you could be killed?
Oh yeah. But you don't have to put it out of your mind, Otherwise you're looking for trouble. So
Were you scared?
Oh, not scared. It was either going to go off or it wasn't, If it did, well, I wouldn't know anything about it. But you get see when you find the mine, you got to deactivate it before you pick it up and dispose of it. And it meant that you had to put safety clips in, safety pins. And despite I had one I used to get the job of when reinforcements came into the unit, have to take them out to a minefield that we were clearing and give them the experience of actual real live mines, not practice ones. And you drum into them time and time again when you find a mine. the pins have got to go in before you start doing anything. Don't take these, don't pick them up, don't disarm it. You've got to put these clips in. And I was with one bloke who turned it, and I was watching him, because I used to go in behind him to try and keep an eye on what they're doing. This bloke stood up and he says, "What will I do with this?" And he had them lying live, no pins. Jesus, I said, "Just give it to me." I took it. I took it from him and put the pins in, and then get out of this field. And I took, and I gave it to him. I said to him, "I don't mind you getting yourself bloody killed, but you're not killing me too."
So,
however,
had you ever counted how many mines that you removed?
it would be in the thousands.
Thousands of...
It would be. I had totals in some books here, 300 and something in one field, and 200 and something in another.
Wow.
So they add up. So I would easily be in several thousand, I think.
So by demining, you must have saved so many soldiers.
Well,
just not us, but also the enemies.
Anybody that's... And also a lot of the population, the local population.
Mm-hmm. Yes. They don't have any idea about it, right?
No, I knew one field they used to... There was a worn path through it. They walked this path. Luckily, it missed all the mine. And that's hard to do.
What are statistics, right?
Yeah. We tried to tell them, don't go in there. Don't go in there.
Had you encountered many Korean people around there? No.
Oh, there were not only in pocket-sized villages. There'd be a couple of houses, you know, here, and then somewhere else around the valley there'd be because it's very hilly country, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And there's so many little entries and that were a couple of houses, or 5 or 6 houses made a village, that sort of thing, you know. We did have one occasion when we all had to, they did a big sweep through an area of country behind the lines because there was some guerrilla activity, they thought. So we had a big sweep to take everybody, to shift everybody out, shift them out of their houses, you know. But they came back again, you know. But that's basically the Koreans that I met.
What did you think of them?
I thought that, you know, what a hard life they got. Because they seem to be working all the time. You know. There's nobody sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
There was something to do. That's sort of the hard life that they had. I suppose that's a result of the Japanese and that. Yeah.
If I ask you to pinpoint one thing that really bothered you there or was most difficult thing that you couldn't stand, what would you say?
I didn't like the winter, that's for sure.
How cold was it? Describe in real terms.
I know for a fact that at one stage there it was 40 below.
40 below?
Yeah.
Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit, yeah. That was one particular time, but whether that was a usual or not, I mean, it was cold anyway. I mean, when a bottle of beer underneath your bed in a room freezes and
You couldn't drink.
got to break the glass off.
See,
No,
that's
I
why
mean,
we
it's
call
cold.
coldest winter in Korea was 1950.
Was it?
I mean, because so many New Zealand and Hawaiians, they came with the summer.
Yeah, left the sun, come into that.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you want to pinpoint the cold weather?
Yeah.
What about demining job? Was it stressful? Should be, right? Be honest. How was it?
Well, I suppose it was, but it was just that was life. That's what it was. Same as anything else, you know.
So what did you do after demining? Came back and to your bunker or whatever.
Yeah.
What did you do to relax?
Have a sleep when I could. And we used to have in the mess we used to have a couple of drinks, and if we could, then there was a certain social side to visiting other units and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, you weren't at it all the time, but there were long periods where you were at it all the time. I mean, I was spending days overseeing parties that were doing roadworks or digging bunkers or something like that, and at night time going out on night patrols down through.
You did night patrol too?
Yeah, on the minefields. Yeah.
Why?
Well, you couldn't go out in the daylight; they'd see you.
Oh.
I mean, we're here; the Chinese are there.
So
down the valley, there's the minefields, and you go down.
So you did demining at night?
Yeah.
Mostly night?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No. Tried not to. They'd laid mines at night.
That's even worse, isn't it? Because it's hard to see.
Oh, no, you can get a bit of light. You shine a searchlight on the clouds and it bounces back down. You can see what you're doing there. Some work done.
They didn't shot at you? They didn't shot at you?
No, not those ones, because they were on the back slopes, so they couldn't be seen.
Yeah.
No, it's areas where they're under observation is what they're the ones that were the.
So when you went back to Korea as an officer, what did you do?
I was doing that.
Exactly same thing?
Yeah.
And you did?
More of it.
More of it?
Yeah, well, that's basically what I did.
So as an officer, you did demining too by yourself? Yeah. Why didn't you just ask your soldiers to do?
Well, you didn't do anything that they would. You'd ask them to do anything you wouldn't do. No.
Wow. So you kept doing the same thing that you used to do?
I did more of it.
More of it. How often did you do it in a week, for example? How many days?
Oh, I don't know that I could. It varied in what what operations required.
I see.
Yeah, I mean it's not a 9 to 5 job. I mean,
have you watched the recent movies where the American soldiers demining in Iraq or Afghanistan or things like that?
I have seen some of them. Yeah.
What did you feel?
Well, they do it differently.
Right.
Well,
you didn't have that much of safety equipment, right, to protect yourself.
Had a flak jacket.
Right.
That was the big thing in the tin ad, and not that do you any good.
But that doesn't really help, right?
Well, if the bomb goes off underneath you, that's how the sergeant was killed.
Right.
And he had slipped, I think, on the shale or the slippery slope, and probably tripwire with his foot,
Yeah.
and with that it would explode the pipe. Well, it blew right up, and the old vest, you know, they hang out of it. So he would have copped it right up here.
So how did you think of how we are doing now these days? Better?
Yes, must be better.
Wish that
Modern
you have...
advances.
Huh?
Modern advances. Yeah.
Wish that you had such equipments to protect yourself.
Oh, would have been a help.
Yeah.
But they still get knocked around,
Yeah.
particularly when you don't know what you're going to face first up.
So looking back all those years, you demining, one of the most dangerous job, you know, one mistake, you just gone.
Yeah.
You survived everything. How do you put that into perspective as a Korean War veteran?
Oh, I don't think of it.
Do you have a nightmare?
No.
You don't have any flash?
I did when I came home once or twice,
But
not now.
not now.
No.
Great. You don't suffer from it, so that's good.
No.
Any other episode that you want to share with me today about your service in Korea?
No, I think we've pretty well covered it, unless you've got particular questions you want to ask. Yes.
So you were mostly in 355, Hill 335, Little Gibraltar, and
For a long
anywhere
time.
else?
Oh yes, we'd been round we was stuck in Taegu for a little while.
Daegu?
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
Well, there was a railway depot there, and
Right.
we were there unloading supplies to go up the front line and that. And another job we had was running a forestry camp, dropping trees for props for the dugouts.
Ah.
So,
Could you
all
tell me
sorts of-
more detail? How the forestry?
yeah. We needed the front line, of course, needed posts and that for the construction of bunkers. So it was hard getting timber, and if it was local timber, well, we set up a forestry camp, and the KFC, which is the Korean Service Corps, they were the labourers on site, and they were given a quota of so many logs per day, and then if they got those quota, then the knock off for the day. So that's the way we managed to get a guaranteed number every day. So that we ran that for a few weeks till the timber ran out.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a case of felling trees, cut the length, load them up. Trucks would come and get them, and take them up the front line, and they'd be used for building bunkers.
You remember that our mountain was almost like a bald, right? Not many trees there. And now we have you seen modern forestry of Korea? No? We are one of the most successful forestation country in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. No, I was surprised and pleased to see what I did when I went back on that visit. It was great. Yeah.
Were you married at the time?
No.
No.
Mm-hmm. No, I was single
You were single.
and fancy free.
So, Tell me, how much were you paid when you were corporal, and how much did you get more when you become an officer?
I think it was, not that much. I think, we're going back to the old pound, shillings and pence. I think we were on 17 shillings a day, I think.
17 shillings?
17 shillings a day.
When you were corporal?
Or was that? That might be what we started on. I can't remember now. I
Yeah.
haven't got all these figures.
I'm just.
And I think it was 21 and something when I became an officer.
Per day?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you do with that?
Well, what I did with it was some went home, and what I kept for spending we spent on buying beer from the NAFI.
They didn't give you free?
No.
Hey, that's too much.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
No, we had to buy our own. And then the rest was when you went on leave in Japan.
R&R.
R&R, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Buy all sorts of fancy stuff and send it home.
So,
The only thing I bought in Korea was I could find was an embroidered scarf that I found in a little shop. These women I think were doing some needlework, you know. It was just a small thing. I bought that and sent it home to my mother.
what is those 3 books? What are those 3 books?
They're my diaries.
Diaries?
Diaries.
You kept it?
I kept it.
When did you write it?
1, 2, 3.
When?
On the time.
1951.
Yeah, 2 and 3.
Excuse me. So from when to when? Can you tell me?
Yeah, from 1951 to 1953. There's 3 books.
Wow. Can you read it?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Anything that you remember,
Oh.
you thought that the best one that you wrote. Can you read it?
This. Well, this is. You remember I was telling you about that bloke who got killed?
I'm sorry?
You remember I was telling you about that
Yeah.
sergeant that
Yeah,
got
yeah,
killed?
yeah.
That's opening to that page.
Yeah. Read it, please.
Sergeant Morgan killed on. I'll have to get the glasses.
Yes, you need that.
Sergeant Morgan killed on 2 troops minefield this afternoon, about 1600. Evidently slipped onto a mine and was blown onto another mine. Went in and disarmed it so we could get him out dead when I reached him. Doc said instantaneous. Bloke said hard carry for over a quarter of a mile down shale slopes. Yeah. Dropped in at RHQ before going back to squadron for a few drinks. Funny things that happened. My officer commanding came in after briefing with a broken nose. His jeep had gone into a ditch star.
Wow. You were able to keep that.
Yeah.
Keep writing, and for 3 years.
Yep, most of it's in there.
Have you thought about typing it up?
It is typed up. My wife's
It's
done.
all typed up?
Yeah. And I can't find the copy. I was going to bring a copy in. But
You couldn't find it after all those typing.
Yeah.
You're very good. What do you think? You want to share that diary that you kept for 3 years with me?
If I can find it.
Yeah. Your wife knows.
No, she doesn't know. We've turned the house upside down.
Why?
Trying to find it. Because I thought I'd bring it in and...
Did she type in typewriter or in the computer?
Computer.
Yeah, so that there should be a file.
Oh. Yeah, there probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's done it.
Yeah.
But, it's about 70 pages of it, I think.
I would like to read it. Keith, I've been working with more than 1,000 Korean War veterans in the United States. I went to Great Britain, Greece, Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark, Germany, South Africa, Turkey. And I'm here in Australia and New Zealand. Everybody knows me. Everything is in the website, and your interview will be uploaded into the website so that everybody can see it. And if you do not mind, and if you think that there is something that nobody should see it, take it out. Otherwise, I think it's worth for other people to read about how you thought of the daily routines in Korea for 3 years. What do you think?
Yeah, well, if I can find it.
So I'll let you go back to your home and find it.
Oh, look, I've turned this place upside down. And the only thing I can think of is that I may have lent it to somebody. I can't recall who.
But why don't you go back to the computer and there will be a file? Okay? Are you far from here, your home?
Yeah. Yeah.
So please, please go back to the computer, not the actual print, okay? Go back to the computer, you will be able to find the file, electronic file, okay?
No good telling me I can't do it. I don't know anything about it.
Hey, you have to find the friends around you, and you will be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to, okay? So tell me, you told me in the beginning that you didn't know anything about Korea other than that it's just between Japan and China.
Yeah.
Now you've been there. You've been there twice, actually, 1950 and then 52, 53. You went back to Korea 2010. What is Korea to you now compared to the days that you never, before you left Korea? What is Korea to you personally?
Oh, I think I said how surprised I was at the advances that had been made in the period from the war until I revisited. So I was just, amazed at the amount of construction and everything that's been done there. And I was particularly impressed by the state of the cemeteries that have been looked after so well there. Because on our visit, we went around a number of them. And I was highly impressed. And the memorials and that are around. As I say, I keep my interest with Korea alive by walking with a walking stick.
Now our government is trying to normalize the relationship with North Korea, and the first thing that they wanted to do is to demining, because it's the most heavily mined area in the world. You know that.
Yeah.
What would you say to our government that they want to demine? Anything, any comments you would say to them?
I don't like that Kim Il-jung.
Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust him as far as I could throw him. I'd like to keep the mines.
You would like to keep the mine. You are the one who used to demine, but you want to say that you want to keep that mine. Not forever, right? Though?
No, I would like to see Korea united. I think that's fair, because it seems as though North Korea is suffering under that, and that family that they've had. But unfortunately, I think I don't know whether he's going to pull the plug or what he's going to do. But it would be good if the armistice line could be, totally removed and the country reunited. But like, how can it be done without it? I'm going to say clown, but I didn't like him. I don't know.
Is there any special message you want to tell to Korean people in the context of 70th anniversary of the war?
I'm glad to see they're in such a position as they are these days, that they have advanced that much and are leading the world in a number of things.
Great. It's been a pleasure and honor to talk to you. And you did a lot, demining, saving so many people. So many people could end up there and being killed. So
they're nasty things.
Yes. You did wonderful thing. Wonderful.
Yeah, but there's still a lot there.
Yeah. I want that to be remembered by the students and young generation all over the world, what you did, and that's why we are doing this.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can continue to work together. I want to scan your pictures, which capture the real, normal scene of 1950 Seoul and other area. And also, I really want to read your diary. Okay, so that's your job. All right.
Yeah.
Do you promise?
Oh, if I can find it and get it done.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Keith.